This evening, government response to Venezuela's threat over oil blocks. Tragic collision on Demerara Harbour Bridge claims a life. Surinamese family's car goes up in flames on Guyana trip. In the region, Haitian migrants in Dominican Republic report harassment. And internationally, Ukraine war remains the focus as UN General Assembly gets underway. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for September 20th, 2023. I am Baby Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, police are investigating a fatal accident on the Demerara Harbour Bridge, span 44 on Wednesday, September 19. The accident involved two motorcycles, one driven by 26-year-old Quasion Tasher of Independence Boulevard, Georgetown, and the other driven by the now deceased 52-year-old Shazam Khan of Westminster, West Bank, Demerara. Inquiries disclosed that the motorcycle driven by the deceased Khan was proceeding east along the southern side of the Demerara Harbour Bridge at a fast rate behind the motorcycle driven by Tasher, which was proceeding in the same direction during the double lane period. It is alleged that Khan's front wheel collided with the right side rear of Tasher's bike. As a result of the collision, Khan lost control and ended up farther south, colliding with the bridge rail. He then fell to the bridge where he sustained injuries to his body. He was picked up in an unconscious condition and transported to the West Demerara Regional Hospital, where he was seen and examined and further transferred to the Georgetown Public Hospital. He was admitted as a patient in the intensive care unit. However, he succumbed to his injuries. Khan's body is at the GPHC's mortuary awaiting a post-mortem examination. Meanwhile, the other motorcyclist was in police custody assisting with the investigation. Also making the headlines today, the government of Guyana has issued a response to a communique by the government of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, which raises concerns about Guyana's intention to offer certain oil blocks for bidding in waters near its coast. In the communique, Venezuela threatens to take all necessary measures to prevent Guyana's licensed operations in these waters, which it claims as its own. The government of Guyana stated that it views this as a threat not only to its national interests but also as a potential threat to regional and international peace and security and its investment partners. Guyana asserts that under international law, the waters in question falls within its exclusive economic zone, granting its sovereign rights over the resources in the water. Therefore, Guyana's government urges Venezuela to resolve any disputes peacefully, including adjudication before the International Court of Justice. The United Nations Charter and the Organization of American States Charter prohibit threat or the use of force against another state. Consequently, seeking a resolution through the International Court of Justice would ensure a peaceful, equitable, and legal sound outcome in accordance with international law. In other news, a Surinamese family returning home from a visit to Guyana was left stranded after the car they were traveling in went up in flames on the Lancaster Village Road in Curtin Berbice earlier today. Reports are that the car, owned and driven by Dinesh Trotki, a 45-year-old HAITIAN driver from Suriname, caught fire while traveling along the Lancaster Village Road in Curtin. A witness driving behind the vehicle noticed the fire underneath the car and alerted the driver, who along with his wife and daughter were able to exit safely. Within minutes, the vehicle was engulfed in flames. The driver and his family had arrived in Guyana on September 8th and were heading back to Suriname when the incident occurred. The fire service was called to the scene and successfully extinguished the fire. Unfortunately, no one was injured in the incident. Stick around when we return. Double shooting incident at City Constabulary Outpost under investigation, suspect at large, and two drug busts at Banya Highway checkpoint.
Oh gosh, what is this? Me son can't read or spell. Stop! 0 out of 20. Is what I could do here.
Let's start improving your child grades today. Register for our primary or nursery department. Hidden Treasures, we're located at 204 East Half Charlotte Street between Camp and Alexander. Or contact us at 649-0373.
I can call them now.
Hidden Treasures, discovering gems in young minds.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 4-6 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
All we will be making Chinese noodles with peppies, chow mein, chicken fritters, and spice cake. For the noodles, all we will be using peppies, black pepper, cashew,
Chinese sauce, soy sauce, garlic sauce, paprika, Chinese seasoning, chow mein seasoning, white spice, and all-purpose seasoning.
Next, this chicken that we marinate soak for all you know nothing with peppies, green seasoning, miracle seasoning,
pepper sauce, chicken seasoning, paprika, garlic powder, dark seasoning, black pepper, onion powder, and ginger powder, and document plantain flour, and then this butter we make with this quick piece powder, and we
boil in high. We serve with peppies, barbecue sauce. Radical went to the supermarket and she proper buy up enough things. She feels she alone can cook, but she wrote it even wrong. He shaped like a Guyana map.
Peppies has a wide range of ingredients available at supermarkets nationwide. Peppies, we put the pep back into your kitchen.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Police are investigating the report of a shooting committed on a 48-year-old female Lance Corporal, Jemani Saul, attached to the city constabulary, who received one gunshot wound to her left hand, and a 50-year-old overseas-based Guyanese of Section C Enterprise East Coast Demerara, Miguel Wilson, who received one gunshot wound to his left thigh. The incident occurred around 7:15 p.m. last evening at Border City Constabulary Outpost and was committed by a 50-year-old city constable. Enquiries disclosed that Saul and the suspect are co-workers and were both on duty at the Border City Constabulary Outpost. Wilson visited Saul at her workplace, and the two were sitting next to each other chatting, much to the annoyance of the suspect. The man, armed with the service weapon, a .38 revolver, fired 3 shots at the duo, causing them to fall to the ground. The suspect fled the scene after committing the act with the service weapon. The victims were rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital. Their condition is listed as stable. Checks were made for the suspect in his West Rhinefeld home, but he is yet to be located. However, CCTV footage from cameras in the area will assist in the ongoing investigations. In other news, in 2 separate incidents, police officers made significant drug seizures during routine stop and search operations at the Bamia Highway checkpoint. A 27-year-old resident of Strathspey was apprehended with over 1,900 grams of suspected cocaine during the routine stop and search operation. According to a report, officers stopped and searched a Route 94 Georgetown to Leyte minibus around noon on Tuesday. Delon Oliver's Vanderscoop, who occupied the front passenger seat, aroused suspicions due to a bulky haversack in his possession. Police discovered a pink plastic bag inside of that haversack, concealing 2 large whitish rock-like substances suspected to be cocaine beneath some clothes. Upon arrest, Vanderscoop remained silent and was taken to the Mackenzie police station. The suspected cocaine was weighed and totaled 1,927 grams. Vanderscoop is currently in custody awaiting charges. Meanwhile, during another stop and search operation, police officers intercepted a Route 72 minibus bound for Madia. The bus carried 10 passengers, including the driver, porter, and 8 other persons. Upon instructions from the police ranks, the driver and passenger disembarked the bus, complying with the search procedure. However, Selwyn Barker, a 28-year-old minor from Lane Avenue, Georgetown, exited the bus without his belongings and fled to the highway eastern side, claiming he needed to urinate. While the remaining passengers underwent scrutiny, nothing illegal was discovered. Subsequently, the police searched the bus and discovered a bag where Barker was sitting. Upon his return to the bus, Barker denied ownership of the bag. However, the driver promptly informed the police that the bag belonged to him. In Barker's presence, the bag was opened, revealing a quantity of seeds, leaves, and stems suspected to be cannabis. Barker was informed of the offense, cautioned, and subsequently arrested. The suspected cannabis was weighed and amounted to over 1,300 grams. During questioning by investigators, Barker verbally admitted to owning the bag. Statements were collected from the driver and other occupants, and Barker remains in custody pending charges. Don't go away after the break. China's Sinopec begins fuel operations in Sri Lanka with a discount offer, and Ukraine war remains the focus as UN General Assembly gets underway.
Problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for do a surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Hello, my fellow TikToker followers. Here's credit. And today, all we will be making Chinese noodles with peppies, chow mein, chicken fritters, and spice cake. For the noodles, all these will be using peppies, black pepper, cashew,
Chinese sauce, soy sauce, garlic sauce, paprika, Chinese seasoning, chow mein seasoning, white spice, and all-purpose seasoning.
Next, this chicken that we marinated, soak for all you don't know nothing with peppies, green seasoning, miracle seasoning,
Pepper sauce, chicken seasoning, paprika, garlic powder, dark seasoning, black pepper, onion powder, and ginger powder, and document plantain flour, and then this butter we make with this quick piece powder, and we
boil in high. We serve with peppies, barbecue sauce. Radhika went to the supermarket and she papa buy up enough things. She feels she alone can cook, but she routine even wrong. She shaped like a Guyana map.
Peppies has a wide range of ingredients available at supermarkets nationwide. Peppies, we put the pep back into your kitchen.
Smart Minds Educational Institute, offering preschool, nursery, and primary levels. Finally, a school that is every parent's dream. Located at 69 Crow Street, offering academic excellence, trained qualified teachers, small class sizes, personalized care, and one-to-one attention for your little ones. At Smart Minds, register for full-time or evening classes, daily practice pass exam papers for proficiency at the grade 2, 4, and 6 assessment, and CXE exam preparedness. Or join our Becca Phonics reading and writing program. So if your child is for preschool, nursery, or primary level, come to Smart Mind, located at 69 Street, or call 231-4885 or 600-9229 to enroll now.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure. always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Welcome back. Now let's take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. People from neighboring Haiti make up an important part of the Dominican Republic's workforce, but last year, the Dominican Republic deported more than 170,000 of them, and now with tension over a new canal on a shared river, Haitian migrants are reporting harassment from security forces. Al Jazeera's John Holman has more.
The Dominican army tends to come in the night, Tatiana tells me, looking for Haitian migrants like herself.
They knock, and if you don't open, they break down the door. And if they see things like the cell phone, they just take it.
She's 7 months pregnant, but most nights she leaves her rented room and hides in this field, fearing she'll be deported back to Haiti. Once, they almost caught her.
They came, and I ran, and I fell over. Now I have to sleep in the open. I can't sleep inside.
Multiple Haitian migrants in the Dominican Republic told us the same thing, that security forces come for them in the night to take them away. Mass deportations were happening anyway, but the last week has brought more tension. The Dominican Republic has closed the border with Haiti over a water dispute. Elimenia has been here for 24 years. She has papers, unlike Tatiana, but she says even that doesn't protect you.
They don't ask you for your documents anymore. If you don't have the documents, they take you away. If you have the documents, they take you away anyway.
Many Haitians are now leaving voluntarily, packing everything they can and heading back to their country, one controlled by gangs and in which more than half the population is in danger of starvation. Even with the border closed, Dominican forces allowed that one-way traffic. This is what we've been seeing in the days since we've been here. Haitians streaming across the border from the Dominican Republic, going back home. And we've been told that this number of people leaving en masse is highly unusual here. As is the security forces' approach, says Father Osvaldo Concepcion, who heads a human rights organization at the border.
It's
the first time that the Haitian army's been breaking into people's houses and that there are mass deportations. It's an explicitly racial, anti-Haitian discourse from the Dominican president, and he doesn't recognize the work of Haitians in the Dominican economy.
We asked the Dominican Army and Immigration Ministry for comment. Neither would speak to us. But President Luis Abinader has made no secret of his hardline approach since he was elected.
The Dominican Republic won't just continue the deportations, it's going to increase them.
Dominicans support that. Some feel migration leads to crime, others that it's simply out of control. Meanwhile, Tatiana is packing. She says that she can't spend too many more nights in hiding. She's ready to go home. John Holman, Al Jazeera, Partido, the Dominican Republic.
Internationally, Sri Lanka is opening up its petroleum sector in a bid to free up vital foreign reserves as it tries to recover from its worst ever economic crisis. Chinese oil giant Sinopec is the first of 3 new companies given license to sell fuel in the country. Al Jazeera's Manili Fernandez reports.
Keeping the pumps working. Sinopec is the latest entrant to Sri Lanka's fuel sector, and it's wasting no time after securing a license to import, store, distribute and sell fuel. China's second largest oil and gas producer is one of 3 companies that's being allowed in by the government. It will take over 150 fuel stations from the existing network and invest in opening 50 more.
This competition should be there. Then only now you can see they are selling I think 3 rupees less than the actual market price.
The fuel sector was badly affected by Sri Lanka's worst economic crisis in 2022, with the government not having enough dollars to import supplies. Queues stretched up to 10 kilometers in some places, and motorists were forced to wait days to top up. The state operator and the only private operator, the Indian Oil Company, struggled to cope with demand. New entrants in the market have to source their own funds from outside the country.
The government has a problem without enough dollars. Now with Sinopec and these companies paying for petrol and diesel, the government can use its currency for the health sector and other essentials. The customers can buy what they need. We can also order what we want, and there's a discount price as well.
While some people were concerned about privatization of vital state assets, these motorists are happy.
With companies, things will be more competitive. This is the system followed overseas. This hasn't been possible in Sri Lanka due to politics and greed, because if there's a bribe to be made from everything, this is the way to get rid of that.
This is a relatively small market for global petrogiants, but analysts say the country's strategic positioning makes it an important place to be, and timing is key.
The best historical opportunity these powers have to get their slice of the pie in Sri Lanka, because a Sri Lanka that has risen, a Sri Lanka that is growing exponentially, I mean, it has the power to maneuver, it has the power to negotiate, but it's at rock bottom. That's when it has no power to negotiate. That's when other people, other powers, other interests can impute terms into the negotiating process.
In addition to the retail market, Sinopec is hoping to secure a $4 billion project to set up a refinery in southern Sri Lanka, where China operates a port.
Opening up the retail market to Sinopec and two other international firms will ease the pressure on the government, which has had to spend a large chunk of its income on importing fuel. Consumers are hoping the competition will bring them some benefits. Minel Fernandez, Al Jazeera, Colombo.
Finally, the conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh was one of the many issues facing world leaders at the United Nations General Assembly. They also want to keep their attention on Russia and its war with Ukraine, Al Jazeera's Patty Kalhan reports.
His need to rally the world community clear with his presence. For the first time, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressing the United Nations General Assembly in person and in English.
The full-scale war.
In an attempt to send a clear picture of the horrors of war, Zelensky detailing the plight of tens of thousands of Ukrainian children he says Russian forces have kidnapped and sent to Russia.
We are trying to get children back home, but time goes by. What will happen with them? What will happen to them? Those children in Russia are taught to hate Ukraine, and all ties with their families are broken. And this is clearly a genocide.
U.S. President Joe Biden clearly wanted to send the same message.
Russia alone bears responsibility for this war. Russia alone has the power to end this war immediately. And it's Russia alone that stands in the way of peace, because Russia's price for peace is Ukraine's capitulation, Ukraine's territory, and Ukraine's children.
But on the sidelines, there is talk that it may be time for peace, that Vladimir Putin could be persuaded to make a deal. Chatter Zelensky pointedly rejected. He says Putin is untrustworthy, pointing out the fate of a one-time Putin ally who seemed to cross him and died in a plane explosion.
I am aware of the attempts to make some shady dealings behind the scenes. Evil cannot be trusted. Ask Prigozhin.
Ukraine's expected to take center stage again here on Wednesday as the UN Security Council meets to talk about the war, and we expect that President Zelensky and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will be in the same room for the first time since the war started. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, at the UN headquarters.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's Safety TV2 Headline News for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.